Hello, if you're watching this video, it's not going to be a recap of episode 1 of the season 6 of Peaky Blinders, because you can get that anywhere. You can probably get that on Wikipedia now. This is just me going through some bits that I've really liked and just picking out some I'm gonna be a bit of a geek when it comes to certain shots and things. And if you fancy listening to my opinions, then carry on watching and let me know what your opinions are down below. Below. So I've got my stuff up on the screen. So the thing I want to talk about is the moment when it clicks and it's at silent when we realise it's not loaded, and then the shot of his face when he hits the ground. Oh my god. I love the blueness of it. That sounds so, it sounds so not technical, but it's so melancholy and sad, and it just shows how lonely and desperate he is. As well as the fact that he's in the mud, he can't get any further to the ground. This is Tommy Shelby at his lowest. Although I guess you could argue he was at his lowest when Grace died, but then this is a whole culmination of that anyway, because in the last series he was seeing her and things, and she was telling him that he needs to join her in the afterlife and things. So I think this shot is just so beautifully done, and the way the mud is on his face, just details like that, because they would have had to have added that in just to make sure that shot was perfect. Anyway, moving on to the next really significant moment was obviously the reveal of Aunt Polly's death, which I think was handled very well, and the moments, was it 2 minutes? There was a chunk of silence dedicated to the actress for passing, and I just thought it was done so tastefully and so well, and it was such an amazing send-off for the character, especially with that painting. And the way they did it with the shots of Tommy looking down, cutting open each body bag, it built it up, because as viewers, we obviously know what happened, unfortunately, in real life. So we know that the reveal of her death has to be somewhere. So we're waiting for it. And I just thought it was done in such a tasteful way by just having the camera on Tommy the whole time as he's open it up, and it really hangs the shot. It really leaves it on him. If you have such an amazing actor like that, then oh my god, just let that shot keep running, because the emotion he'll produce will just be amazing. So it's don't cut away to anything. There's no reason to cut away, just leave it on him. And it was just so raw and emotional, and it even made me feel emotional, even though I think because it's the mixture of the actual actress sadly passing, that's what adds the weight to it, and you know that the actors will be having a real emotional response to that, so it just adds so much more weight and sadness to that scene. But I thought it was done very well. And then obviously we cut to the big painting of Polly, like I said, that's obviously being burnt as a part of their their funeral, if you like. And then we have that amazing shot after Michael basically says under his breath that he's going to get revenge on Tommy Shelby. Oh my god, the shot when he turns around in that slow-mo, which I think they use slow motion very well in this series. They know when to make it dramatised. And I'd heard in an interview that the reason for all that slow motion and the fashion choices, it's to emulate that kind of childlike gaze on it all, and how to a child that whole gangster world is so fantastical, and it's seen as really glamorous, which obviously we see it isn't with what else they show in the show. But the slow motion obviously adds that kind of wonder and awe, and let's be honest, whenever they get the characters walking off in slow motion and then the theme song comes in, I mean, everyone feels cool at that point, let's be honest. Also, a thing that annoyed me about the show was I'm gonna put the screenshot up, there was a dog I think it's when Tommy's arriving in France, and there was a dog, and I was like, oh my god, he has a dog now, and I was thinking, yes, it's gonna be great, but it wasn't. It was just a dog that was hanging around and just with him, and I was like, damn it. I was like, yes, I was ready for a new companion and it to be a dog, especially because I think it was a staffy or something, and they're the best. So I was a little bit annoyed when the dog ended up buggering off, and I was like, no, stay, please. But then that's quite an interesting. It's interesting to include the dog, actually, I thought. Not only cinematically, it looked nice in the shots that they created, but also because with Tommy's character, but he's a gangster at the end of the day, and he's done bad things and he's hurt people. So it's quite hard sometimes, especially with him not having a love interest at the minute, to see the softer side of him, because we don't always really see him interact with his children. So it's hard to see him as a nicer guy, even though everyone fancies him, so they like him anyway. So to have an animal almost attach itself to him whilst he's walking, I don't know if that's kind of to hint at the fact that he does have a good nature and a soft nature behind the exterior of like mob boss. Maybe I'm looking into that too much, but I just thought it was really interesting how they have that. And again, it's like how he's good with horses and everything, and how on the opening of the first ever episode of season 1, he's on a horse, so it's like he is basically, you're a good person if animals like you, as a rule of thumb. So I think that was a nice little bit there. Other shot that I really liked was was when he basically snitches on Michael for carrying opium, I think it was. And obviously he puts the phone down and then he walks over to the other side of the room, and he's in complete darkness, like a shadow, and so the light is all coming from the window behind him. And I just thought it was so interesting how in that moment they put him in that darkness, because essentially he is being dark. He's betrayed his own family and he's set him up, which is quite a cheap thing to do, I guess. Like, it's not a good thing to do. So you really see him like that villain at that point, because he's just completely in darkness. It's like we cannot relate to him because he's done something this bad. But obviously we all like him still because, you know, it's of course we do, because we like his character. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Also, just as a little thing I want to mention, I'm intrigued how Arthur's character does this season, because as you know, he turns up as like a drunk, drugged up Santa, just sort of like splayed on the kitchen. I think he's on the kitchen stool and he's kind of like on the kitchen counter, so we know that obviously he's abusing drugs and alcohol. But I'm looking forward to funny bits. I love the rapport that there is between the brothers, when it is lighthearted and not always just depressing and like heavy stuff. It's nice when there's those comedic moments in it. So I'm looking forward to see how he hopefully rises from his low state that he started in. Also, love the set design for Gina's place. Oh my gosh, when she's dancing around, I just thought it was so cool. And then I've also screenshot the bit of them just being like facing each other, and it's that real, I don't know, this tension, and I really enjoy it. And just her outfit, loved her outfit. Just everything about that, like the airy room. I feel like it really suited that new, like, is it new Art Deco sort of design, and it just shows how vastly different her life is compared to his life back in the UK, because again the interiors and set design is completely different, and I just think that's interesting because hers is new, it's shiny, it's airy, it's spacious, which kind of, I suppose you could like say it's almost like a metaphor, because her and Michael are the younger and uprising generation of that family, and they want things to be new and fresh, and they want things done in new ways, which obviously is reflected through the new style of where they're living. Whereas Tommy and his gang, I don't know, they're still living in obviously the traditional way of showing wealth. Because they are the older generation. Last bit I want to talk about is that scene where he's having the conversation with Lizzie on the phone. Can I just say, I feel so bad for Lizzie, because she knows no matter what, she will never have Tommy's heart, and that's so heartbreaking. Like, I used to not care about her character because I liked Grace. I was team Grace, like, how couldn't I have been? But then I actually thought about how awful it was for Lizzie. Like, don't get me wrong, she gets to receive the wealth and everything from the Shelby family, but it's that feeling of she will never have his heart, and she'll always see, no matter what she does, his heart belongs to Grace. And that must be so crushing, because she really does care for him. But yeah, at least she's getting the benefits, I suppose. But the phone conversation when they're talking about his daughter, their daughter even, and the fact that she was ill, but then she was starting to say that in her dreams that she was seeing like the devil or something. And obviously Tommy's getting really stressed about this because of his the superstitions, and like I just thought it was such an interesting way the way it was shot, because it really flicks between being like over the head shot and then the, oh my god, I should know the name. I'm a film student, I should know. But it keeps flicking between being above him and below him looking up. And I feel like that shows how conflicted he is between his like the power dynamic within that conversation and within himself. This sounds really waffy faffy, but I'll try to explain. So obviously he has the upper hand. He shouts at her quite a bit in the conversation to try and assert his dominance because he's so scared that his daughter's going to be hurt or die potentially. And so it shows him, so the angle looking up, it shows him being this empowered dominant figure because he is telling her she has to do this. And so you see him as that like domineering role. However, it very quickly like switches to the above shot where it's looking down on him as though he's under pressure. He is the weaker person in that situation because he's so scared of this thing, and even though he's trying to be dominant, he's losing his mind. He's terrified. He can't be there and help right now, which is why he's so frantically telling Lizzie to like look after her and that he'll be there as soon as he can. And then it also goes to a bit more of a wider shot. And so we see him in his hotel room and he looks so small against everything. And I think that was interesting the way they put that in as well, because in this situation, he can't do anything. He is worthless and useless. And it just shows him out of control and just stressed. And I thought the way they showed that through him being swallowed up by the surroundings of the hotel room was a really clever way to emphasise this lack of control. My phone's gone up again. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting, and that's all I have to say. If you actually listen to this, thank you, and let me know what you think, because I love talking about the shots and the dynamics and the set design, and it just looks so beautiful. Like I really struggle to fault things and think, oh, that was a weird angle, or that was weirdly done, like why did they pan there? Like every camera movement that happens is so intentional, and I've seen videos where it shows the script to screen and it's all written in, so it's like everything's so meticulous, and I just think it shows because the outcome is really good. That's all I have to say for this episode, and I'm looking forward to watching the next one tomorrow because it's Saturday right now. Yeah, gross, why am I looking at that? Okay, anyway, that's all I had to say. Bye.